All right, so after Logan, Mayweather wants 50 Cent and Jake Paul. I normally don't do this, but we going to do something a little different. Before I get into that, hit the thumbs up, hit the sub, hit the bell. You know what to do. And with that being said, let's get into the video. So again, I really don't do this, but I'm going to hit y'all with this. I got to play this poem. My screen capture this from Jake Paul's page. So I want y'all to listen to this, and then I'm going to chime back in at the end because this shit was hilarious.
Dear Mr. Mayweather, who runs your Instagram? They need to get paid better. Do us a favor and stay off of social media. You should focus on learning to read, retirement, or maybe an encyclopedia. You call me out to fight, but you're half my height. You might beat my brother, but Jake Paul is a different type. Fuck your proposition. I don't do exhibitions. We can fight on my conditions. 50-50 commissions. Oh, and we haven't forgotten you tried training Nate to beat me. I left him unconscious on the canvas. Let's hope you're not that easy. A quick NBA knockout. He's never boxing again. Speaking of NBA, who knocked up your daughter, my friend? After I KO Askren on Triller, April 17th, I would love to fight you, Floyd, and punch you in those fake veneer-ass teeth.
Oh my gosh. This dude said, who knocked up your daughter? Talking about young NBA. Oh, man. No, hit him in the fake veneers, saying he need to learn how to read. Then he brought up him trying to train Nate and Nate getting slept. Oh, man. I'm going to say this, though. I do agree with him. If Jake fights Floyd Mayweather, it needs to be on Jake's terms. Why do I say that? Because Mayweather's going to do everything he can to get every advantage that he can against Jake Paul if they were to fight. In other words, he's going to try to make him suck down and wait. Don't do that, Jake. He's going to try to make him wear headgear, possibly. Don't do that, Jake. And he's going to make it an exhibition, so if Jake Paul beats him, the record doesn't count. Don't do that, Jake. Oh my gosh, would the boxing world go insane if Jake Paul was the only man to beat Floyd Mayweather and give him a 50-1 record? Oh, how horrible would that be? But it would actually be bitter justice, because I say this. Mayweather made fun of Muhammad Ali for losing to Leon Spinks, who only had 7 fights. So it could be the curse of the Ali. You know what I'm saying? He made fun of Ali for losing to Leon Spinks whenever Ali was a little bit over the hill. So let's see what Mayweather does. After doing a poem like this and Jake responding and saying he will fight him like this, I say the fight should happen. And I say it should happen in whatever weight Jake Paul walks around at. Why do I say that? Because you've got a guy with no experience, no real experience against a top-tier fighter, fighting a guy who's a multi-divisional champion, a 5-divisional champion at that. Beat 23, 24 world champions in boxing. So every advantage is on Floyd Mayweather's side, even though he's older now in his 40s. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, every advantage goes to Mayweather when it comes to experience. Now, let's be realistic about this. Can Jake Paul beat Floyd Mayweather Jr. at any weight? I don't know. I really don't know. And I say I don't know because of this. A lot of old people don't want to admit that age matters, because it does. At some point, you get to an age when Father Time catches up that you can't compete. You just can't. It doesn't matter how good you are, how good you were in your prime. At some point, Father Time creeps in, and when that happens, you will get beat by a guy who normally couldn't beat you. You'll get beat by a guy in his 20s that couldn't even hang with you if you were still in your 20s, but because you're not still in your 20s, that 20-year-old beats you silly because he's just got everything going for him. He's got the reaction, the speed, and that youth, because of your age, outweighs your experience. See it all the time when the young cub becomes the lion and knocks off the old lion. It happens all the time. Now, I'm not saying that's the case with Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather still looks pretty youthful in his face. His body looks young. So overall, he seems to keep in pretty good condition. Now, if it is true that what Logan was saying, that the reason why the fight didn't happen was because Mayweather couldn't get in shape, then that's a bad sign. That means he hasn't been doing what it needs to be doing to stay in shape. And the thing is, the older you get, the further you drift away from being in shape, is the harder it is to get it back. So what I mean by that is, It's much easier to maintain than it is to rebuild after you get old. When you're young, man, you look at like you could take a year off. Use me as an example. I hadn't worked out for a year. Within 4 weeks, my bench was already back up to 305 within 4 weeks and going up. I got hurt a little bit, stepped away for a month. Here we are, 4 weeks later. I hit my bench workout, and where was I? 285. Easy. So the strength comes back real fast. The endurance, the speed, all that comes back real fast when you are young enough for it to come back. That's the thing about it. When you get older, you can't recover that quick. You can't go that long without it because it quantifies the time that you have to take to get back in shape. And Mayweather might be experiencing that for the first time in his life. And that's why that fight really did get postponed. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just throwing that out there. So to come back full circle, could Jake Paul beat Floyd Mayweather Jr.? If it's at Jake Paul's weight and it's not an exhibition, the gloves aren't increased in size, and Jake can take advantage of his size, his youth, and his strength, then as crazy as it sounds, as audacious as it sounds, I am about to make a realistic comment that most people who are sub to my channel are not going to like. It is possible for Jake to beat Mayweather. It is possible that Jake could knock him out. He's got a huge weight advantage, and again, the speed could be in his favor. The boy can box. Whether people like him or not personally, it is irrelevant to the fact that he has natural speed and natural power. Now, is it plausible that he'll win? No. It's more unlikely that he will win. It's more of the fact that everything needs to be going for his way to beat a guy like Mayweather, regardless of the weight advantage. The fact is, Mayweather, defensive genius, okay? His defensive Philly shell is very good at keeping him from taking a lot of damage. So, with that being said, in order for Jake to be able to use his strength, size, and speed, he's got to crack that shell. Will he be experienced enough to crack the shell? I don't know. I highly doubt it, but it is possible because if Mayweather slows down, his reaction time is not as good. If he has gotten ring rusted against a young guy who's active, who may not be nearly as experienced, then Mayweather just might not be able to react quick enough to get out of the way of the punches because he is a lot shorter. You know, regardless of height advantages guys have had against Mayweather, Mayweather has always had the reach advantage. So that has nullified him being the shorter man. He's never actually had less length than the guy he was fighting because of his overly long arms for his height. Against Jake Paul, I believe, I would imagine, I'm not sure, because normally white guys, white fighters that you see, normally their arms are shorter compared to black fighters of the same height. But because there is such a height discrepancy between the two, I would imagine that Jake's probably going to have a longer reach than him. So again, what that means is if Jake gets off too fast and Mayweather is too ring rusted or too old to react, he's going to get hit. Now, that's where the weight advantage comes into play. The weight only matters if you can hit what you're throwing at. But if you can hit it and you can put that weight on that smaller person, they're going to break down much quicker than the bigger man, a hell of a lot quicker. So there's that aspect. And again, I must say this. It is very possible that Jake could sleep him. Now, when Mayweather actually fights him, knowing that he's not going to accept an exhibition, it's going to be a real fight and it's going to be on his terms, which would mean that you're not going to weight drain him and you're not going to dictate what gloves he wears. I don't even know if Mayweather would go for it, but Mayweather fucked up by mentioning his name because this dude is a troll and Mayweather's about to get trolled nonstop. Y'all thought the 50 trolling was bad? I can guarantee y'all this is just the beginning, especially if Mayweather beats his brother, which, you know, a 99% chance that he will beat Logan. Logan's nowhere near as good as Jake. I said that a long time ago, and I just never saw Logan being good at boxing. He looked like he had decent power, maybe a little bit better than average, but nothing else going for him. Completely different story with Jake when it comes to boxing. Completely different story. So if he beats his brother, I imagine that Jake is only going to throw him harder and harder and harder and harder and harder. And the problem is this dude has got such a big following on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, that it's going to be undeniable to see. And being that Mayweather called him out first, would you really want to be Mayweather and known to be ducking a guy like Jake Paul who shouldn't even be in the same ring with you? That's your fault for calling him out. And again, I will restate, Jake, if you were smart, you will keep those conditions that no, I'm going to fight at my weight. You're going to come up to me and it's not going to be an exhibition. It's going to be a real fight and it's going to be for a record. I find it hilarious again. Let me in before I get too many thumbs downs. Here's the deal. Would Jake Paul beat Floyd Mayweather Jr., even with the weight advantage, even with the youth advantage? It is highly unlikely, but if Father Time has crept in and caught up, then it is very possible that Jake could win. The only way to truly know is on fight night when they're facing each other. That's the only way to know. And within the first round, you're going to know who's going to win that fight. So, again, that's how I see it. I know a lot of people aren't going to agree because there's a lot more hardcore people who follow my channel than casual, but I got to keep it 100. 100. So, again, to all those who made it to the end, hit that comment section. Let me know what y'all think, because I'm telling y'all right now, Father Time catch up and Mayweather stepping up in weight, he very well could get put on his ass.